Howdy, welcome back to Dion Talk. In this video, I am with Michael Zuber of One Rental at a Time. We are doing a collaboration on the most common mistakes that we keep seeing with new investors because both of us work with newer investors trying to get into investing. It would be really cool if some people thought of these things before they got the train rolling on the tracks. Yesterday, we came out with a video on One Rental at a Time. This is the follow-up, so 10 more things to consider as you start investing. So I really appreciate you doing this with me, Mike. I think this is going to help a lot of people.
Absolutely, Dion. I love the ideas. I love the collaboration. We both really do like helping people. So happy to do it, man. Anytime.
I think one of the really cool things about having videos like this is we do work with people. Sometimes it's with an email answer, sometimes it's answering them on Facebook, or sometimes, like this morning, I took a call with Carlos and Jessica, who are starting their investing journey. And I was able to say, watch these couple of videos. And when they showed up for the call, we had a really good conversation that narrowed down to what they needed to know because they already had a base to start from. This is awesome doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's, when we get the opportunity to talk to someone new, they need to come with a foundation. Otherwise, we say the same things over and over, and it's just much more efficient use. So I think these are good.
Awesome. So let's just jump right into it. One of the biggest things that I see people make the mistake of doing is quitting their job to start in real estate, and how many problems that causes. How many times have you heard someone say that?
Yeah, it's not only people saying that, but it's almost celebrated, right? I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody post something like, "Hey, I'm thinking about quitting my job. I'm going to go full time doing this or that in real estate investing." The predominant answers are, "Great, congratulations, go get it, man or woman," and all of that. And I'm here sitting going, "Well, good luck getting a bank loan. Good luck, reducing the temperature in the room. It's like a kettle boiling, right? When you take that day job away, there's just a lot less water in the reserve, and it's just so much easier to boil and get uncomfortable. Buy and hold, one rental at a time. Please don't do that, right? Quit your job when you have financial freedom if you want, but don't quit it before you own one rental. It gets really tough if you do that.
I mean, the lending issue is the first one that comes to mind to me. Is they want a 2-year track record that you're working, and it's not just that you've had a job for 2 years with good consistent income. They're going to contact your employer currently and say, we need your last 2 paychecks, and ask your employer, what is the likelihood that this person will continue working? If we can get people to get the income snowball rolling with consistent income from real estate before you quit your job to do that, that would help a lot.
Yeah, totally agree. The big one for me is focus, right? I'm, my superpower is the ability to focus in on something and then just execute day in and day out, whether it's looking at my market for 20 years straight or producing daily content, right? Once I kind of set my mind to it, some people look at it as drudgery, like, oh my God, I'm looking at it for the 177th day in a row. I just don't look at it that way. I'm like, I am one day closer to the deal of the decade. I'm so excited, right? It might be just a little mindset, but again, for me, it's focus. And I mean, focus, especially if you have a day job. It's like, all right, I'm not going to invest in Fresno. Fresno's too big. It's 1 million people. I'm not going to invest in 93703, the Mayfair district. It's too big. I'm going to invest in the Mayfair, 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garage, attached, single story between 12 and 1,500 square feet. Okay, great. Now I've got 25 or 30 or whatever the number is, houses to look at. And I set that search up. I get notified when something else pops up, and I just hit it every day. And you know what? It takes 10 minutes once you're good at it. Maybe it takes 20 minutes until if you're not good at it. Who cares? Do it and then move on, right? You're done. Some people hear focus and they're like, well, I've already done that today, Michael. What should I do? I'm like, well, did you really do it? Yes, I really did it. Well, then go do something else, right? You got another 23 and a half hours to do whatever else you want. Just come back tomorrow. They just want to keep piling on. And if you start doing too many things, you actually get negative leverage versus positive leverage. And in the beginning, as a buy and hold investor, do your work and then just move on, and then come back tomorrow and do it again, and then do it again the next day. And it does become, it builds on itself. And someday between day 30 and day 60, a light bulb goes off and you're like, I get it now. I know what the best deal is. I know what the worst deal is. I know what average is. It's so powerful.
That focus is so important. And this isn't one of the issues I see with new investors. So this doesn't count on our 10 out of this. But some people say, I really want to diversify. So they have some stocks, they have some real estate, they have some crypto, they have all of these different things because they look at somebody who's really well off or who has reached financial freedom and they think their portfolio looks this way. And you're comparing somebody's end with your middle or your beginning. And for me, the focus in the beginning is picking the one thing, whether it's stocks, growing a business, or investing in real estate, that you're going to target. I'm 100% in real estate. I can't stand the idea of any money locked away in a retirement account not paying me anything. I don't invest in stocks because I don't have the mental bandwidth to learn that, even the strategies involved with that. I have a friend who is reaching financial freedom. And this is one of those things where I shoot myself in the foot because I'm teaching my employees how to make themselves financially free. So he's going to be able to retire years before he could have. So I lose a great employee, but I'm happy to help somebody learn how to do these things. But he's doing buy and hold investing. And then every now and then he'll think, well, storage units are really good, or RV pads are really good. And I have to just say the phrase, if you chase 5 rabbits, you'll starve. And that kind of reminds him, oh, I have this one way that's working and let me stay focused. And once I retire and then have the income, I could try those other things. So
it's a great analogy. Some of the most spectacular blowups I saw in the last crisis were people that got a little bit full of themselves and they started going lots of different directions. And yeah, the five rabbit analogy is so true. You start chasing 5 rabbits and the thing that got you there blows up as well. So it's very well said.
So the next problem that I run into with newer investors is something I'm dealing with very recently with somebody very close to me. Underestimating how much money you're going to need to get started in real estate investing. Most of us talk about FHA versus conventional, whether you're going to do 3% down as a first-time home buyer with conventional or 3.5 with FHA. The math becomes really simple. I need 5% down for this conventional loan. So I'm buying a $300,000 property. That means I need $15,000. Completely forgetting about closing costs, reserves, costs to make it ready, rent ready. It comes to what one of the things you talked about yesterday is being in a hurry. Yeah. People think the less I need to save up, the faster I can get investing. Well, the more you save up, the more options you're going to have and the more stable your investing is going to be.
There's some simple math involved in this business, but you've got to think about the entire picture, right? It's not just down payment. It's, closing costs on a $300,000 investment, that could be $3 to $5 grand. That's not pennies, right? That's not hundreds of dollars. We're talking thousands now. So yeah, it's definitely needs to be appreciated. And homeowners need reserves too. If a water heater goes out and you're the owner, you pay, right? If a window breaks because one of your kids, threw a ball through it, you pay. So yeah, you've got to have reserves too. So the next one I see a lot of folks do is they kind of flip this house TV and, they see Instagram and social media and everybody's making real estate investing look easy. I want to tell you real estate investing is simple, but it's not easy. Right. There's those words may seem similar, but if you understand them and you're in it, you will appreciate it. Right. Understanding how to do yield calculation or cash on cash is simple, but understanding and, the life of a landlord and understanding dealing with tenants and understanding how banks can say yes one day and no the next day. And all of these other things, real estate is anything but easy. Right. The flip these house shows are scripted beyond all get out to make it look easy and everything's a $50,000 win or whatever. So I just want to really make people understand that I work very hard to make it look simple, but it's not easy, right? Daily discipline and focus is simple, but for most people, it's not easy.
The TV shows, the 30-minute or the 1-hour episodes on Flip This House or whatever the catchy name they come up with kind of reminds me of the way I looked at it when I was in law enforcement. I would watch CSI and I would think, oh, so there can be a crime, a court case, a murder solved all within 60 minutes. When every one of those steps is months, right? And investing is the same way. It is not complicated, but it's definitely not easy. And so when someone makes a YouTube channel, and they get on BiggerPockets where it says, how to invest if you're lazy. Like that sounds easy. So let me learn how to do it that way. So I try to make it as simple as possible, but it takes discipline. It takes patience. I mean, that's the biggest thing most people seem to be missing is patience.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with that one.
Cool.
A problem that we're dealing with, to me, it seems most recently because of the pandemic and what happened in 2020 and 2021, is people trying to time the market. I'm going to wait for the dip and then buy. I'm going to wait for the crash and then buy, and figure out what a crash means to them.
Yeah, you're so right.
And people have been waiting for a correction since 2013, missing out on what, 8-9 years now of appreciation, principal pay down, and then people saying things like, well, there's so many people on forbearance, there has to be a huge crash coming. And nobody, not one person on the planet, has the data of whether one person on forbearance is doing it because they feel like it and want to save money, or if it's 100% of them. So no one knows how many of them are just waiting on the sidelines because it's a good way to save money right now.
Yeah, no. Yeah, this time the market one is big for me. And unfortunately, I've tested this on YouTube, right? You throw the word crash in your headline of a title, it automatically gets more views. Even if you say no crash possible or crash is a stupid idea, just having crash in the title gets you more views. And that's why you have very popular channels talking about a 40% crash in 2020. And I came out and just lambasted it. I'm like, what are you kidding me? Where are you getting this from? I was willing to bet tens of thousands of dollars and trade properties, and he didn't respond, shockingly.
I remember that. It was with Ken McElroy. I think you said $10,000 to your favorite charity.
Never responded. And he was wrong, right? He finally came out a couple of weeks ago and said, oh, I was wrong. But it's too late, because if you listened and you waited, you missed out on 15% appreciation last year. 15.
He saved $10,000 not making the bet with you, but he cost a lot of people more than $10,000 by telling them you should wait.
Yeah, just bad. So I tried, right? If you listen to me, you did your work, you bought a couple of deals. If you listen to Ken, sorry, it's more expensive now. The next one for me is people, it kind of goes to one that we talked about yesterday, but I just got to hit again, is people want to start fast, right? Some people come into this, they've just had a liquidity event, or they're getting out of the stock market, or they, had a family member pass and they got a chunk of money, right? They got a chunk of money and they want to rush it. And, this is not a business that I tell people all the time. If you're taking my class or you're one of my students, I don't want you really writing offers for 60 days. I want you to, if you have to, go put the money somewhere else, but you have 60 days of work. Some people push back. They're like, no, you don't get it. I'm special. I'm unique. I have this special extra sauce, and I'm going to figure it out because I'm going to look at YouTube and BiggerPockets for 12 hours straight, and then I'm going to buy. Like, that's not really how it works, right? You've got to look every day. Every day is something special. And again, don't look on Saturday, just like we talked about yesterday in a great example. But yeah, again, I will take somebody, if somebody gives 8 hours on Saturday and somebody else gives me 2 hours during the week, 20 minutes a day, I will take that person that does daily over this person that, dwarfs them by total time. It's just because the market moves differently.
People wanting to move fast kind of ties into my next problem. When you move really fast in real estate, especially when you're learning, I mean, I get it. If you have a system and sometimes speed on making the offer determines whether the seller is going to take that offer or not, sure, there's a time to move quickly. Mm-hmm. But when you're learning, you can make so many mistakes, especially with, this is my next problem with newer investors, is they don't decide the end goals. So if you haven't figured out where you want to end up, but we're encountering people who, say things like, I want to become a millionaire, or I want to buy the next deal. Well, how do you know how to buy the next deal, or if it's a good deal, if you don't know if that deal is going to bring you towards what your ultimate goals are? And if you're looking at and investing in short-term rentals or long-term rentals, where you buy those properties might be totally different. You want a hospital or a college next to short-term rentals if you're looking at traveling nurses or students. And if you're looking at long-term rentals, I mean, there's so many factors that are different when you pick that end goal. So that's what I run into the problem of a lot with newer investors is I'll ask, and it's almost like a job interview, where do you see yourself in 5 years? An investor needs to be thinking 5 or 10 years down the road.
Yeah. And I see it a lot, kind of similar. What I see a lot is people think they got a deal. And I'm like, well, okay, you got a deal. You think you got it 40K under market or whatever it is, but does it cash flow? And they're like, no, but I got it 40K under market. I'm like, I'm confused. You told me you wanted to be a buy and hold investor. We agreed that cash flow is the answer. And now you're telling me about some mythical equity, which may or may not really exist, that you think you've earned, and it doesn't cash flow. You've got an alligator, right? What I would call it in my course. But no, Michael, you don't understand. I've got 40K in equity. I'm sorry, what was the goal again? Let me go back to that one more time, right? yeah, money sometimes distorts what people think and hear, I guess. I don't know. It makes really smart people dumb sometimes. It's really weird. Weird conversations I have. So the next one I have kind of in the same area is too much leverage. Just too much leverage, right? I've obviously been doing this 20 years, which means I started before the nonsense. I saw the run up in the craziness with liar loans and neg am and all these horrible loan products. I saw people, I knew people that made 40 grand a year that said they made 400 grand a year. They're like, I just added a zero by mistake. Oops. And, they went for having, 2 properties to 8 or 9. I knew people that were flipping $100,000 homes that suddenly tried to flip $1 million homes because they could borrow. They were betting on appreciation, and it felt wonderful until the day it didn't. And I will never forget that. I knew a gentleman that was worth 10 million, a legit 8 figures. And he was bankrupt inside of 8 or 9 months because once that first domino fell, he just couldn't stop it. They were all just tied together. And it was a tragedy to watch that happen. And I'll never forget that. So I'm very conservative. I don't tell people to take equity lines on their primary residence in general. I'm like, nope, slow and steady wins the race. I'm okay with that. If you can get one a year, great. If you can get one every 2 years, so be it. If you get one every 4 years, so be it. Just that's okay.
Leverage is powerful. It can work in your favor and it can be your enemy.
Oh yeah.
I remember a few weeks ago, we did a video together and we talked about my equity position.
Mhm.
And I'd like to maintain at least 30% equity. And in the comments, I kind of got attacked by people saying, you're missing out on all these opportunities. And I thought, yeah, I'd be missing out on all the sleep if I had more equity or more leverage. So this is my channel. I'm welcoming everybody to attack me in the comments because I will always try to keep at least 30% equity.
I'll back you up. I may not have had that in the beginning, but I haven't had anything less than 30% equity in a decade. Yeah.
Awesome. My last problem that I'm going to bring up, I think we're at 5. If my memory is wrong, correct me.
No, you're right.
Okay. Is not learning what yield is.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll explain why. But first, I want to ask the person with an actual MBA in finance, can you tell me what yield is?
Yeah. So yield is what I talk about all the time. It's what I use as a comparison of average, good, and great. Yield calculation is a math formula. It is division, but it's only 2 numbers. The bottom number, which is called the denominator, is how much cash comes out of your account to buy, which means down payment, closing costs, and I include what I call make ready. How much cash do I have to pay to clean, paint, carpet, whatever it is, to make it rent ready? So the denominator is all of that. The numerator is what is left over, rent minus all expenses, mortgage, taxes, insurance, property management, energy, lawn care, snow care, whatever it is, right? You have some number at the end of that. Let's call it $100. You take that monthly number times 12, that's 1,200. So it would be 1,200 divided by whatever you took out of your pocket to buy the property, 20 grand, 30 grand, whatever. That then becomes a percentage, right? Or it becomes a number like 0.0 something. And if you want, you can turn that into a percentage by multiplying it by 100%. And that's your yield. It's basically turning your rental into a bond. That's why I use yield. I simply want to know how hard my money is working. And I want my money working harder than an average deal in my market. That's all I try for every day.
When we're investing, yield matters. On the cash on cash return is what's most often referred to with real estate. But it also tells you, should you invest in real estate? Should you invest in stocks? I mean, if stocks had a consistent, that you can expect with reasonable confidence, 10 or 15% return, it might make more sense than real estate, but it's not a consistent expected return. Plus, you have taxes coming out of that return, whereas in real estate, you have the tax benefits. A lot of us think of, I'm going to buy this property based on this cash on cash return. That's exactly how I look at it. But some of us haven't taken it to the next step. I am doing this renovation right now, and you can see this is a lot of carpet and a lot of carpet strips, which I took out with this tool, which I learned during this process how to use it. This is actually a roofing tool that takes the carpet tacks up from carpet strips. But I can add a wall in this unit, and it is now a 3-bedroom property. The cost of adding this wall, the cost of running the electric to another light switch and turning this, what used to be a den, into a bedroom is going to get me almost $500 a month more in rental income because it's now a 3-bedroom unit. The amount that I'm spending on the wall and the renovations to turn that den into a room is going to be a certain expense. If that $500 a month justifies the expense, then I know that that yield is an investment worth making. So it's not just buying the property, but how much money do I spend to increase how much money that property generates?
Yeah, well said. Absolutely. It's always, folks, your job is to figure out how hard your money is working. And I would like you to work at what I call good or great deals. Don't settle for average. Work a little harder, find those deals or create those deals as you're doing in this case. I can't tell you how many times I've converted a den to a bedroom. In my market, that could get me easily $200 or $250 a month. So do that all the time. So my last one is really for all the people out there just throwing money at syndicators or social media types, and that is trusting others just cause. Right? There's a lot of people out there trying to raise money. They could be your friends. They could be very dynamic. They could look good on TV. You know, they could look good on social media and have all the private jets and fancy cars and watches. But please, real estate's, back to what we said earlier, it's simple. Do the work, do your homework. If you like the deal that is brought to you because it's a great deal, then go for it. But don't just write a check because somebody posts stuff, every week for a year. And you're like, oh, well, he must know what he's doing. No. There's a lot of crooks in this business. So make sure you do the homework. Make sure you like the deal, right? The deal first, the area second, the operator third. Most people flip it. It's like, this guy's got 1 million social media followers. I have to follow him. He's telling me about this market and then this deal. It's entirely the other way around. So it really annoys me when people just trust people because they see them on social media all the time. And, people liked Bernie Madoff a lot for a decade until they didn't. So just be careful.
So now you've heard in the video on One Rental at a Time, 10 problems that new investors have. And on my channel, we've gone over 10 other problems that investors have. I just want to say thanks for doing this, Mike, because this has been awesome.
Thank you.
Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion talk.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
I'm sorry. Did you think we were done? But not today. We kind of led with a little bit of a teaser in the video on Mike's channel saying that I might be giving away a book today. But what I'm going to actually be doing is the first 20 people in the comments below to say,
get your money right.
I'm going to enroll you in the class and I'm going to pay for the course offered by One Rental at a Time. Get your money right. And Mike, I refuse to take a discount. I actually want to support your channel. I want to pay for that course to put of the first 20 people who put get your money right in the comments below, I will use this 20-sided die to decide who's going to win that course. So if you want to learn from Mike's course, in the comments below, just put get your money right, because I'm going to be completely transparent here for a moment. I've always been against paying for courses. And I thought people get talked into $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 3-day weekend courses. And my litmus test for if somebody's a guru or not has always been, if you take away the income that they make from their course, are they still financially free? And Mike's financial freedom comes from his rental portfolio and has really almost nothing to do with his course cost. So I took the course.
How to get started one rental at a time.
Great. I'm going to be doing a video that's a review of it, and I'm going to be providing some content on how to self-manage while working full-time, which is actually going to include my spreadsheet on how I do this as a person who wants to make the systems very easy. But as I was taking that course, I realized that you have an option. You can learn everything in Mike's course just by watching him every day for several hours for a few years. Mm-hmm. Or you could pay a couple $100 and get the actual data that's used to do this as a system from start to finish. And so it's not a $12,000 3-day weekend. It's a couple $100 that could actually change your life. So my goal is to put somebody through the get your money right portion to help somebody get started on their journey.
Wow, that's very nice of you.
Awesome.